Joe Biden has COVID. It's the sort of statement that seems inevitable. It's the sort of statement that seems like, wait, it really took until now for him to get COVID, considering, his age and the fact that he's the president, he's surrounded by people. But no, if you are to believe the commonly pervaded narrative, for the first time, Joe Biden does have COVID. The White House put out a statement. They're saying that he is fully vaccinated, twice boosted, and experiencing very mild symptoms. He's been taking some things to try to assist him at this point, and they're gonna be doing sort of a version of kind of remote work, I guess. Now I know what you're thinking. How is he going to be able to maintain his rigorous schedule of not addressing any of the multiple crises facing America on a daily basis? And I don't know, but he has a lot of aides, and so I'm sure they'll figure something out, maybe with Zoom or something. But anyway, he does have COVID, and look, they're saying that it's mild. He has like a runny nose, I think they said, the sniffles, and look, BA.5, which is the dominant strain of COVID right now. It's very transmissible. It is very easy to get it. It's spreading quite rapidly. We're once again above like 130,000 cases a day. But assuming that you're vaccinated, it does tend to produce milder cases. Not for everyone. We're losing over 400 people a day. Never forget that. But so, fingers crossed. We're of course hoping that he pulls through. Not everybody is, and I'm sure we'll dive into that. But Rayyvana, what do you think about Biden getting COVID?
I am also shocked that it took this long. Have you had COVID?
I have never tested positive for COVID, but I believe that I've probably had COVID twice.
Okay, because it's just like this late in the game. Anytime someone's like, "No, I've never had COVID," it's genuinely a shock to me. But like you said, they said it's mild. He's double boosted, fully vaccinated. He'll be fine. He's got access to the best medical care in this country, which he's also receiving for free. It would be really great if everyone else in this country could receive healthcare for free, like the president of the United States is receiving. But maybe he'll feel so moved once he recovers from this bout of COVID to give that to us.
Maybe, and we'll see. I mean, maybe he'll be over it in a few days. Maybe it could get worse. It's just like I can't help but think back to when Trump got COVID. Those optimistic times. It's such a different situation because, of course, Joe Biden. Look, you can make the case that COVID is the only crisis he's taken seriously as president. Like, he doesn't seem to care about climate change or anything like that. But he is taking COVID seriously. He is vaccinating everything. When Trump got COVID, he could not be asking for it more. Like, if there is karma, if there is a cosmos to offend and receive strike back from, I mean, he did everything you could. And never forget, by the way, that the dude tried to give Joe Biden COVID. He lied about the fact that he knew he had COVID during that debate. And so I'm not saying that anyone here or any of you were sort of had your fingers crossed and thought, well, don't wish anything bad on anyone, but it might get through to people that COVID is bad if he were to, do what inevitably filet-o fish will do in a few years. And so it's a very different situation, I think. I don't know. Are we being hypocritical?
I don't know. I will say that the most fun I've ever had on the internet was like the 3 days where Trump had COVID and it was really bad and we didn't know where it was gonna go. That was like one of the, aside from maybe before Bernie winning Nevada, like the most fun I've had on the internet and like a genuine feeling of hope. I'm not gonna lie, he got COVID and I was like, good, you deserve it. But I don't feel that way about Joe Biden.
Sure. And look, of course, I don't want anyone to die, of course. I mean, if you search the internet, a case could be made that I've done a little bit of content about how COVID is serious and I don't want people to die from it. But man, that guy really, like, think about how many people died because of the choices he made in terms of how he addressed COVID, how he talked about COVID. Like, so many people. I've lost people in my family. So, forgive me that once that news broke and he did his thing where he like walked back to the White House and then like breathed through the Swiss cheese that was his lungs, that I got a bit of a kick out of it. Or if there might have been a video that someone posted on Twitter of all of his comments making light of music that transitioned into those dancers. I forget which country it is. I'm inclined to say from Ghana.
The Ugandan funeral
They're
march.
Ugandan. I apologize. I don't remember specifically of them dancing. Did I play that on repeat for 6 weeks? Maybe. I don't know. But anyway, yeah. With Biden though, I think when the news broke that Biden had COVID, everyone has their reactions. This was such an interesting one from Farron Cousins, who says, "I keep reading the Biden has COVID news in the same voice that Marge Simpson says Lisa needs braces because my brain is officially broken. Biden has COVID. COVID plan. Biden has COVID. COVID plan." But anyway, I know that a lot of people responded less with thoughts about Biden himself and more about Kamala Harris. So you saw that President Harris was trending very quickly. One of the right-wing a-holes tweeted, "This is Kamala's moment." Yeah, so what do you think about the K-Hive? The K-Hive, let's be fair, they generally have a pretty good view of Biden, I think. That may be tampering some of the celebration, but what do you think about this?
Yeah, I think this is probably not K-Hive and mostly right-wingers because they're like, trying to say Kamala's going to be a bad president. She would be a bad president. But they're also, the implication here is that Joe Biden is going to die. And like that's what they're trying to say without, overtly just saying that, yeah, we want Joe Biden to die. They can say, "Oh, President Harris" or whatever, and allude to the same thing. Not that they would be happy with President Harris, but just they, I know they would find joy in Joe Biden dying, which is like, it's, I just made a joke about Trump, so I guess I can't go too harshly against them.
Well, yeah. Look, I appreciate you with your very diplomatic commentary towards the K-Hive. I know that you have never in the past done anything to evoke their ire, and thus there'd be no reason for them to attack you online, and you're maintaining that grand tradition. Just briefly, again, I don't like hypocrisy, okay? My opposition to hypocrisy has become increasingly useless because the right doesn't care when they're hypocritical, so pointing it out seems like a big waste of time. That said, like wanting Biden to die and wanting Trump to die when he was president, are those the same thing? I mean, yeah, if those are all the words you have, sure, that sounds similar. Arguably, like the reasons to have an issue with why do they hate Biden? I mean, look, kind of because he beat their god emperor, sure, that's true. Aside from that, something Hunter Biden? Like what has Biden done that should really offend a right winger? If we want to flip that with a leftist for Donald Trump, I can cite a few things. In fact, you can look at the collected works of the damage report over the last 4 years or so. There were reasons to be frustrated. What has Biden done? Largely continued the Trump era immigration policies, largely continued the same relationship with Saudi Arabia, largely done nothing whatsoever to deal with climate change, allowed the Supreme Court to shred people's rights. This has kind of felt somewhat similar to the Trump years with a little bit less, bombastic buffoonery.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I think that the one thing that Biden has done that really sets off conservatives is that he genuinely loves his son, regardless of what Hunter Biden does. It's just clear that Biden adores his son and loves him unconditionally, and conservatives will never know what it's like to have the unconditional love of their father, and they're desperately seeking for that in Trump.
Exactly, yeah. They just, and in particular, I mean, even if it's not about their individual relationship, that it affects, they know who Trump is. They know who Trump is in relation to his kids. They know all of the weird stuff about Trump. And all they have inside of them is projection and misplaced racial pride. That's all they have. And so they want to attack Biden for all of the things that they felt uncomfortable on some level, hidden, that they would never acknowledge during the Trump years. And so that's gonna come out here too. I mean, look at the fact that even before Biden got COVID, they love to talk about how more people had died from COVID under Biden, even though, look, setting aside the fact that we've had more time with Biden during the pandemic than Trump, that's the only time they've ever cared about people dying from COVID. Largely, people are still dying because they don't care and they wouldn't do anything. So yeah, there's some inconsistency there, I've noticed. In any event, I haven't seen any other updates about Biden. if they're admitting to it now and he's only got the sniffles, my guess would be that he is probably not gonna have a serious case of this. That doesn't mean that Fox isn't gonna have a solid 72 hours of insane speculation. That has already begun. And I don't know what Tucker Carlson is going to say about Biden tonight, Rayyvana, but I have faith in him that it's gonna get real dark and real gross.
I can only imagine. I've been wondering if he got COVID from his trip to see MBS. That's just sort of been playing through my mind all day. But
you think the fist bump wasn't enough to save him there?
No, definitely not.
Maybe.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.